We get a major Detroit Pistons trade update heading into the February 5th deadline, just a few days away. The Pistons have been linked to two names, including one in Michael Porter and a new name that has surfaced as this team prioritizes adding a scoring winger to the top Eastern Conference team looking to have a deep run. We're going to break down everything from quotes from Mark Stein, breaking down these players, and so much more on this. Before we get any further, I do want to give a shout out to everyone watching. If you're part of the 98.6% watching this and you haven't hit the sub button yet, but you want to stay up to date on everything to do around the Pistons, make sure to go down and hit it. It's completely free. We're trying to reach our goal of 250 subscribers by Sunday, so make sure to go down and hit it. But with that, let's just dive straight into where we know this is a team that's top of the Eastern Conference, coming off some big wins. Even the star players playing well. I just wanted to go out with this quote coming from Steve Kerr after we seen the Pistons beat the Warriors. He's awesome. He reminds me of Luka and James Harden, just a kind of a one-man offense, running everything through him. He's a great player, really coming into his own. And of course, this is talking about Cade Cunningham and the MVP caliber season that he is truly performing at. Now, just looking at his numbers, and listen, we're going to get into these reports. Cade Cunningham is one of the league's best in everything. Looking at his points, 96th percentile, rebounds 84, which is crazy for a guard, even going into the assists, where he's ranked 2 in total assists in the NBA per game. This is a guy that is truly dominating on every aspect, and of course, he has great co-partners in this as well. Going into Jalen Duren, for example, seeing his numbers, the reboundings, top 10, top 60 in points. This is a team that is truly showing that not only are they serious to take that 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, but to make a run for a championship, and even just with the accountability of the players. I've seen this going around social media quite a bit just from a few days ago. Seeing Cade yell at Thompson, this shows accountability. This is the team that is not settling for anything but greatness, and I just love to continue watching this team as they continue to hold down that top spot. But it goes into a quote coming through with Bickerstaff, where we did see heading into the game. He did speak and said, you look over the past 5 to 6 years, and there've been a new champion every year. I think that's great for the league because it puts pressure on teams to go for it because the opportunity is there. Now, seeing this quote coming from Bickerstaff, it makes you look at the current standings, where not only are we the 1 seed, but by a decent margin, 5.5 games in hand over the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. Looking at the standings, of course, Bickerstaff is looking at this team and saying, hey, we are a true contender. We know what we're bringing. And this is where all this linkage for players really start to heat up, as Pistons fans want this management to finally make that push and reward the players that are pushing through. Now, diving into Mark Stein and the report that just came out. This will be linked all down below if you want to read through it. We can see Mark Stein diving in on everything Pistons. This video is sponsored by Kalshi, the US's largest prediction market. Kalshi lets you trade event contracts peer-to-peer, not against sportsbooks, and Kalshi is available nationwide, including California, Texas, all the way to here in Detroit. And if you go down in the description and use the link plus Digest NBA, you get $10 when you trade your first 100. Now, looking at Kalshi, we know we're heading into one of the biggest times of the year, which is the Super Bowl. And if you want to trade on Seattle winning the Super Bowl, $100 gets you $148 in return. And using that first $100 that you deposit, you can also use the free $10 to trade on who will make an appearance. Now, we know Travis Kelce is not in the Super Bowl, and that probably means Taylor Swift will not make it, but Jason Kelce, if you trade yes, will make an appearance. $10 fetches you 13. It's a general smarter way to use your sports and news knowledge, and you can close positions whenever you want. Once again, go down and download Kalshi using the link in the description plus code DIGESTNBA to get $10 on your first $100 deposit. The Pistons have continued to internally weigh the idea of pursuing wing scorers such as Brooklyn Nets Michael Porter Jr., who I just did a video on, and Charlotte's Miles Bridges. But no firm indication has yet emerged that Detroit is actively engaged in trade talks for either. Now, with the Pistons, being linked to these players where no, they're going to actively look. They have draft capital, they have young assets. Yes, you don't want to move on from guys. Jaden Ivey's value is at an all-time low, but with this Pistons team, with the trade exception that we had coming back in the Dennis Schroeder trade, with Caris LeVert's contract that you hope you can move out in any deal possible, this is a team that fits into the perfect probability to land one of these guys to help Cade and, of course, the scoring that we need from outside the arc. Of course, you have a lot of guys that are playing well and hitting threes, Duncan Robinson, for example, but I do want to dive into Michael Porter first before we dive into the new name that has emerged of Bridges, which, listen, we're not the biggest fans of, but there is some value there. Now, looking at Michael, I don't swing the rock Porter, this is a guy, if you want a basket, there's no better talent that's probably going to hit the market. Of course, Giannis is going to be a name, but going through MPJ's stats, almost 26 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. This is a player that's going to help out when Cade gets tired in those back ends of games. And listen, Cade doesn't get tired often, but he cannot just be the dominant force every game for the entirety of the game. And getting a guy like this that can put the ball on the floor but also score. Looking through it, Michael Porter Jr.'s 97th percentile in points, ranked 17th in the NBA, 45th in rebounds. He's an underrated rebounder. We've seen the Nuggets kind of struggle without this guy in the lineup, but at the end of the day, this is someone that's going to have a great shooting, shooting field goals, 3%. We can see all of it above league average. The only issue with Michael Porter is you're giving up assets to get a guy that's not going to really help on the defensive end. When looking through the defensive rating, you kind of want to ignore it. We could see it's in the 18th percentile, ranked 400. He doesn't bring the best on the defensive end, but this is the Pistons team that built that mold. Maybe Bickerstaff can bring in someone like Michael Porter Jr. and change the mold. Hey, you're going to get baskets, but you have to try on that defensive end as well. Once again, Michael Porter is a very interesting name that's going to pop up a lot ahead of Wednesday when this is a team that is in the perfect spot to go out and make that move. I mean, just once again, diving farther into Michael Porter and just his shooting. This is a guy that could bring the threes that we do need. Once again, Cade, incredible downhill with the ball. You want the ball in his hand the entire game, but getting it swinging the rock to a guy that probably won't swing it after. But Porter does bring quite a bit. You can see from above the arc. You can see the corners. Yes, one of the corners doesn't look the best, but Porter does bring something this Pistons team is looking for. And if you can land this guy without mortgaging the future, and of course, that is not just Jaden Ivey, but multiple first-round picks, key parts, Ron Holland. This is a trade you need to look at, but it dives farther into Mark Stein, where he brings up an interesting name of Miles Bridges. Now listen, Miles Bridges off the court antics you don't like. This is something I do not condone when looking at a player. Of course, that speaks for itself, but Miles Bridges does add something to this team that would be interesting. Of course, I would rather target a lot of other players across the league, but 18, 6, and 3.5 is a player that could bring something to this team when we're looking at the total scoring. Now, when diving in the true shooting, of course, is lower. The field goal is lower. But this is a guy that, of course, is playing in a younger system. We know LaMelo Ball is carrying the ball a bunch. Cotton Knippel looks great. But, of course, who cares? Because he's not a Piston. But one thing with Miles Bridges and what he can bring to this team, of course, the defense is slightly better than Porter. Not too much. But across the board, some of his analytical numbers do look great. Once again, you can see the percentiles, 90% in some of them. But diving into Bridges, we can see the biggest thing is the three-point shooting, 33.4. This is the type of player I would rather target. Michael Porter Jr. is the player I would rather target to add to this team. Of course, when you're looking at the team, the mold of the team, what you're looking to add, sure, Bridges does bring something to this team that maybe they don't have. But the big thing is adding that three-point shooting to the team. Michael Porter Jr. seems like the perfect offer. But what you guys' thoughts? Would you rather trade for Michael Porter Jr., Miles Bridges, which I feel like a lot of fans aren't going to be the biggest fan of because I'm not myself, or is there another name? Is it a smaller move just to bring in someone that can shoot the ball, hit those trays for us? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments because I love reading through them. And once again, if you made it this far, we're trying to reach our goal of 250 subscribers by tomorrow. I know you guys can do it. We're just 86 in, and I can't wait to continue giving you guys content, including one coming out on Jenkins later. A little hint for everyone that made it this far. But I've been your host, Mark Pye. Go Detroit, go, and I cannot wait to see what this team does.